There are strange things out there that seem to have no explanation. Sometimes they are conjured up by the darkest corners of our subconscious, but on occasion they dwell beyond the confines of our imagination. They may come from another realm, or out of the sky, or from beyond the grave. Once they set foot into our world, the line between dreams and reality becomes unclear. It's our job to investigate these reports and compile the Virginia Paranormal Case Files.
I knew the previous owner. His name was Jack, and Jack died of congestive heart failure a few years back. I was the estate manager here at Cedar Point Farm, and when Cedar Point, part of it sold, I was gifted this from my dear friends who were also my bosses. And Tony loved this house just as much as I did. And she had stories about this house that were heartwarming, nothing paranormal. We had a hurricane here one year, and this was before my time, and her husband was up north, so she was down there by herself, and Jack had walked through the floodwaters, went down there and got her and brought her up here. And he had a roaring fire in that fireplace, and that's how she spent the rest of the hurricane, was with Mr. Jack.
Oh, that's nice.
So, and she always loved this house. She loved this house more than she liked her house. So anyway, this house came to us along with the land, and the more we were doing up here, the house kind of like wakened up, or awoken, yeah. Things started happening. In the back bedroom that we came through when we came in, on the wall, which has the door on it, there was a picture of my grandson that my daughter had hung up. Came back in later, no wind whatsoever. It was laying across the room. So that's why I know it's not Jack. Whatever's here, it's not Jack. If it is, I'm gonna be shocked. Because Jack loved me. He loved his grandson more than life. And he was just a super, super sweet old man. And his children, his daughters, had told me, one of them had come home from college, and she was in the kitchen. And back in the day, your kitchens were outside, they weren't inside. And that was her bedroom. This woman, not the daughter, this woman, who we call Madeline. And if you look at the doors to this day, you can still, there's locks up there. They locked her in there. And I have no proof of this. This is just what I was told. And she died in there. And when this daughter was home from school, she was doing dishes and put a plate down on the counter, and it flew across the room over to where this bed would have been, and it shattered everywhere. She said that was enough for her. She didn't like coming home after that. But since we've been starting to get this house ready, working on the walls and moving stuff in and whatnot, strange things have been happening, unexplainable things. Windows opening and shutting. For years, the lights have come on and off. The neighbors up here have seen it. People going down the road have seen the lights. Like, they'll come by, one minute the lights are on, the next minute they're off.
Oh, wow.
So, and vice versa. So let's see, where do I start? Okay, the window's opening. The shadow carrying the oil lantern upstairs in that bedroom. Up here, I believe it is. That room, which is supposed to be my future bedroom.
Where was the figure was seen in the room, or?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Behind the window.
Oh, wow.
And I know the house that I live in now has original, how do you say that? Hand-blown windows from back in the day. Mm-hmm. And so they have like figures and shapes in this glass. And it looks like there's somebody there, but it's not. I've already debunked all that. And I don't think these windows have that. So I can't explain what this shadowy figure carrying an oil lantern was. I was right there on that corner where that rocking horse is, and was scraping all that old plaster off because I'm getting ready to repair all that plaster. My husband and my daughter were out here on this porch behind you, and I was just steadily scraping, and out the corner of my eye I saw somebody standing right there in that doorway. Couldn't tell if it was a male or female, and I yelled a really bad word and I do not cuss. I stood up, spun around, thinking it was Alex and her daddy playing a joke on me, turned around, and they were right there on that porch. So it couldn't have been them. So that's another thing. Sometimes the electrical will work, sometimes it won't. Somebody had said have the wiring checked, but there's nothing wrong with the wiring. Alex's dog, Shelby, when she comes in here, she shakes like a leaf, and she'll run out and go up underneath the house and lay. And she's a big dog.
Right.
And then my pit, Clutch, he was laying up here on that couch right there behind you, and he was doing this number, you know, side to side, like he heard a high-pitched noise. He gets up off the couch, goes over here to the door, and he's standing there, the door was open, and he was looking out the door. And all of a sudden, he just jumped and did a complete reverse. And his head was back this way like somebody had touched his butt. Mm-hmm. And he wasn't happy about that, but there was nobody there. He looked at me and my sister like, did you just touch me? We've had the horses up here and literally tied them to the porch, a couple of the horses. The last time we were up here on horseback, only one had a reaction. And she had never been up here before, but she could have been looking at a tree behind the house. But just by the way she was looking and her a little bit nervous, it didn't look right.
Right.
So, but Joe and Phoenix didn't pick up on anything.
We're here up in Matthews, Virginia, where a family's moving into this old farmhouse, late 1800s farmhouse, and there's been some strange activity. I went inside, I interviewed the client, talked with her a little bit about the activity. Now what we're going to do is we're going to have our team go in groups of 2 and walk through the location, and they're unbiased at this point. We want to see if there's any place, any certain areas within the location where they get strange vibes without having prior knowledge of the activity that's been going on in the house.
Does this go outside? Looks like it goes onto another deck. Oops. This is amazing.
Room number 5. I don't know. Interesting.
Well, that's what it's gonna be though.
Yeah, adrenaline. That's what it feels like. Like I'm about to jump off of like bungee jump. It's like intense adrenaline right now. So similar to the other room in there. Again, like I didn't notice it right away, but from the hallway to this room, there's a complete different pressure, like in my stomach and like my lungs. It's not as heavy feeling. And this, I believe, is the kitchen. It looks like a laundry room is back there. Do you feel that too? Like the change, like it's like a depth pressure? Or no? It's heavy, but I feel like it's pushing on like the lower parts of my legs to my feet, kind of like it's pulling me down.
Right.
No?
No, but I don't usually pick up on it.
Yeah, Yeah, like literally feels like it's pulling me down. Like my top part of my body, if that makes no sense. I don't feel like any pressure there right now. It's just all like pulling, like direct, like below my knees to my feet. Just like a kind of like a stay put, like a I have magnets on my
Like a
feet.
grounded type?
Yes, yeah. So oddly enough, I think this room, oh no. No, see, no, at first I was going to say kind of felt similar to the other room downstairs where I felt like it was just detached, as in two separate sensations. When I first came in this room, I felt that, but now I'm feeling a lot of like pressure and I can't catch my breath. Like it feels like something's sitting on my chest. But it wasn't like that when I first walked in here. It's like really weird because sometimes, you know, it's very similar to Linda when you know I go into a place. It's more like thoughts versus like, well, no, you get your physical sensations too. But like I'm getting like a lot of like my body is responding very differently. Like I said about my feet, but like I keep feeling like a pull now on my left hand, and my heart is pumping like something crazy. I keep wanting to go upstairs. Yeah. Like this is where all my attention is going. Okay. Oh my God. It's like the Winchester Mystery House staircase right here.
It is. It seems like it goes to nowhere.
Yeah.
You're not expecting it to be there because it's like a little closet door.
Yeah, that is crazy.
And then you open it up and see these stairs.
Oh my God, that's like more than one room.
So the house is pretty large, and it's hard to keep straight which rooms are which. But my first impression was in the dining room. There's not a whole lot of activity, but a woman stands at the window and looks out the front window. The stairwell, I could see her coming down the stairwell in like a party dress of some sort, or like maybe a big flowing dress. To me, I would have said a party dress, but you know, I'm not exactly sure if that's what it was, but it looked light colored, perhaps white.
I'm sorry, I hate to interrupt, but I just wanted to, just before you finish, on purpose, I kept thinking, but it sounded cliche, so I didn't say it, as I kept picturing her in a big white dress. Big like a wedding dress, but a big white dress. Right. But I'm like, that's too cliche.
Yeah.
In that sense.
Now her bedroom was on the second floor. When you go up the stairs, you turn all the way around 180 degrees, and there's that walkway that goes back. You go all the way back, and I believe that it was the one on the right-hand side. That is her bedroom. It's her safe place, kind of her place to hide or be away from things. One of the bedrooms upstairs, the one that had a mattress in it, somebody died up there. There was some death up in that bedroom with the mattress. They died of an illness, and I couldn't figure out what exactly kind of illness, but they died from some kind of illness up there. The woman that I see, the one that was coming down the stairs in the party dress, and whose bedroom that is, there was sadness there, but there was also a young child. There was a young boy somewhere. There was a closet in the hallway where he used to hide and play, perhaps. Then when you go up the stairs to the third floor, the room on the left, when you go up the stairs, felt really bad up in there. The energy was bad. There was something bad that happened up there. I don't know whether this was the young boy's room, but it felt like abuse of some sort. Maybe not sexual abuse. I don't know, some sort of abuse. And there was, because that room had a lot of like sadness and a lot of fear in it or something. So, but the other two rooms on the third floor were okay. Also, the other rooms on the second floor I felt like were okay. Didn't really feel much from the kitchen or any other place downstairs, except for this room here. When you first walk in that side, it's a heaviness. As soon as I walked through that, over that threshold, there was something really heavy in that room, but it dissipated when you walked out of that room. So, but I didn't actually see anybody or feel anybody there. I'd say the strongest presence is that woman. Second strongest is the young boy.
Right, when I was walking through the house, I didn't really see apparitions of anyone, but I felt things. For me, going over the threshold into the kitchen was a heaviness that I didn't understand. But as I walked through the kitchen, I didn't feel it anymore. But then as I went out and took a left, heading around the corner to in that area, the bedroom with the mattress was very heavy for me. But when we come out of there and we went up the steps, I didn't have any issues with any of the rooms except the room to the back, which I think was on the 3rd floor, which was hard for me to breathe. So it was the room also with the mattress I had an issue with. Heaviness. I didn't see anything, but it was just a heavy feeling in there.
There were 2 rooms with the mattresses. The mattress that was set up as the bed, or the mattresses that were stacked up on their side?
No, the bedroom with the mattress as a bed.
As a bed.
Yeah, that was a bad room for me. And then I couldn't breathe on the top room when you went upstairs to the left, the smaller room.
Okay.
The very first room I went into on the left. But the other 2 bedrooms were fine for me.
What's interesting is when Tanya was talking about the kitchen, that's a significant point, because the clients here, they have seen this silhouette looking out of the kitchen into the dining room. Also, the kitchen wasn't always the kitchen. This house was built in a time when they had a summer kitchen. The kitchen was an area where there was a woman, she was like their aunt back in the 1940s, who went crazy, and they locked her in that room until she died.
What room?
The room that's the kitchen.
Yeah.
Well,
knew it.
the other interesting thing was the room upstairs where Linda was talking about, only not necessarily a woman. They've seen a figure, a dark figure carrying an oil lantern in that bedroom upstairs. Now the entire...
Is that the one with the mattress set up?
No.
Okay.
I thought you were talking about the other one,
That's
the
the
one in
other-
the far front of the house.
Yeah, that's her safe place. The one
Yeah.
I said was her safe place.
That's where they see the man carrying the oil lantern.
Okay.
In there and out throughout the hallway.
Is it
And
lit?
it's lit.
Okay.
But up those stairs, those narrow stairs where you all had that feeling of vertigo, she said it is really strange up there. She didn't give really any specific details, just a very strange feeling up there in the upper part of the house. So could it be just, it is an eerie place. You open that small door at the bottom of the stairs, it's that narrow staircase.
Right.
The boards are a little uneven in that one room. It's very narrow to get around. It's eerie. Could that be playing on people's senses as well upstairs? I don't know.
I don't know, because Jeff, Linda and I both had very similar thoughts upstairs.
That's right.
Very similar.
On the 3rd floor?
The 3rd floor? You're talking about the 3rd floor?
Yeah, the 3rd floor. Very similar, because you said something bad happened in that room, and I kept explaining to Jeff. And you said abuse, so that's better, because I couldn't quite find the word. I just said something shattered in here. Something is broken.
Yeah.
I kept saying something in here.
You did say that.
Was
Yeah, she did
shattered.
say that when we were up there.
And that could have been figurative. It didn't necessarily mean I threw a dish on the floor.
Oh, yeah, no.
I could just feel like that room,
Right.
something broke in there.
Now, the man that lived here previously, he did die in the house. We're not 100% sure where. Could have been in the kitchen, facing a plate. It could have been on that bedroom where she mentioned
In the
she kind of envisioned a man being face down.
Somebody died.
Yeah, they haven't given any reports of the kid yet, but that doesn't mean it's not the case.
Yeah.
And they haven't given any reports of the woman in the gown, but that doesn't mean that that's not a possibility either. I mean, it's a very old house. These things could be here. So I think it'd be interesting if we go in, get our baseline sweeps done, and then see what we can pick up through the spirit box and the EVP sessions.
I was just sorry. I was just going to say I had also a very similar thought with the woman, and I didn't think about this either when it was happening, but I had these weird sensations on my legs, like they were being pulled. Hear me out for a second.
Okay.
And then on the 2nd floor, I had the same similar sensation of my hand being pulled. And then the second you said a little boy, it like clicked in my head where somebody was like
pulling you.
Yeah, or kid. Oh, sorry. Or kids when they
Yeah.
don't want you to
exaggerating.
when they don't want you to go. Yeah, I hope so.
Right,
When they don't
right.
want you to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Like
You
as soon
kinda
as you
grab
said
on.
little boy, it was like
Yeah.
that was like that feeling because I felt like grounded. Like
Yeah.
don't move.
Yes.
Not supposed to go somewhere. And then my hand was just like taking me somewhere.
Yeah. Okay.
That is interesting.
I hang right here. Every time I hang it right here, the next day I come in, it's on the floor. I have left this door open. I've shut the rest of the doors, reopened this door, shut doors, thinking like a vacuum effect would knock it off the wall. Nothing does it. Next day you come up here, it's on the floor. I don't know what it is about the picture of my kid that
It's a baby boy.
I don't want to know any more about that right now, but yeah. So just, that's the picture of Tanner that has been targeted, I
Okay.
guess is a good way to say it.
Yeah. Is it okay if we just leave that up?
Yeah,
there?
you're fine. I actually can't stand that picture. Because he's actually a really beautiful child.
He looks beautiful.
He is.
He looks
He's
like a baby. He
amazing.
looks like a kid.
And
That's what
I'm like,
happens.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm gonna give you that camera instead.
So,
Switch with you.
anyways, yeah, y'all can do whatever you need to, but that's normally where it hangs.
Okay.
And like I said, I've opened and shut doors to try to like debunk it.
Mhm.
It stays there. Next morning it'll be on the floor.
Okay. The resident's daughter went ahead and she hung her son's photo on the wall, and we're gonna go ahead and we're just gonna leave that there, and we're gonna see if anything happens to the picture while we're here, because she says that tends to be a target often.
I'm chilled. I got chills.
Yeah, I just looked down. It's right at me. It's on. Oh my God, my whole body is just like chilled. I'm like froze. I have the hair standing up on my arms, and I got a thick
Zoom in. This is bones.
bones. I'm shaking. What bones? Whose bones? It smells kind of rotten. Maybe we feel something rotten.
Great. Probably an animal.
Whose bones? I don't have that chill anymore.
Hey, Kyle?
I just got one.
I was gonna say, Kyle, could you come?
There, never mind.
It has come
Sorry.
out of the room.
Sorry. No, I just got one as soon as I hit the end of the hallway.
So are you coming with us?
Yep, right here.
It's, no, it's actually like on me again, on my arms.
We're in a zone, pretty much.
Yeah. Are you following us?
No,
What would you like us to see? Are you trying to show us
I
something?
got it right now.
Yeah.
It's
Right
like
here.
the cold chills, and it's so hot in here right now.
Yeah.
Can you state that?
Yeah.
But
Right
it's like
when
the
I'm
cold
walking
chills
right here.
they come and go, and like when they go up the back, on your neck.
Is there something you're trying to tell us? Could you maybe reach out and spell it on this little gadget I have in my hand?
I don't usually get like this.
Mm-hmm.
I get them really freaked out.
So before, when I said that I didn't get any feelings in the house as strong as I normally do, that's done a 180. When we went up the steps, actually back that up, upstairs, the first level, as we were going from room to room, it was like chasing it. Again, the same kind of feeling of we were moving and it was moving with us. And I was getting stronger and stronger charge feelings. When we went up to the third floor, it felt like there was somebody behind the entire time that was just pushing us up and pushing us up. And Tanya kept slowing down. I was like, no, don't stop. Just keep going, keep going. Upstairs, again, we got the really strong, lots of strong feelings. And Tanya has a verbal thing, and it kept saying red. Well, I had my red light on at the time. And
Then when we were all in that small upstairs room,
it said together.
It said together.
And we were, yeah,
First
we
it
were
said
all staying
red,
together.
Oh,
And the
okay.
light, and all the spikes were red. And then
Yeah.
it said together. And we said, yes, we're all together.
And then on the way down, it was like it was just pushing, get down,
was
get down,
red.
get down, get down. And it wasn't just from the third floor. The third floor, it chased us all the way down out.
Yep.
So,
down
it
the
was,
side, down
And the last word
stairs.
was sacred.
yeah, it was like, just get the hell out.
Wow.
And I very seldom get that paranoid kind of feeling,
Yeah.
but that's the strongest sensation I have ever had of, you're not
I
here,
need to
get out now. I don't want you here, and I'm going to push and push and push.
So we're going upstairs. We're going to run a spirit box session, and I think what we're going to do is we're going to plug in the Wonder Box into this and see what kind of results we can get with that. We're going to go up to the second floor, up to one of the bedrooms where I thought that was this woman's bedroom that I kept seeing around the house, what I would call her safe place. So we're going to go up there and run it. It's also the place where the client has seen the dark figure with the lantern walking through. So should be pretty interesting.
All right, I'm Jeff.
Linda?
Kyle?
And we don't mean to impose by any means. But we're going to be staying here all night. And we'd like to know who else is here with us.
Anything? Sound like a kid's voice.
Yeah.
Could you tell us who the man is that's been seen carrying the lantern around?
What did you say?
I don't know, but that was a voice.
Well, the first one I heard sounded like evil, and then they said something after that.
Linda said she feels like there's a woman that stays in this room. Is that true?
Can you tell us your name?
There's a woman in there. It was a woman. What the hell?
Whose room is this? It's got to be some kind of a feedback or something like that. Check the corners.
Everything's plugged in nice and tight.
Is there anybody here with us?
Something's weird, yeah. Something is really
That's
weird.
creepy. Is there a woman that used to stay in this bedroom? A young woman. Did I take it out?
Sure did. That either said leave or evil.
Why don't you want us here? You know, people are going to be moving into this house in a couple weeks. Are you okay with that?
What did you just hear?
I don't know. It almost sounded like something about shoot 'em.
I thought I heard I'll shoot them.
I'll shoot them.
You ever leave this house?
Time to go?
I didn't hear
Time
that.
to go. It's time. I'm getting freaked out. He keeps looking at the door.
We're not trying to intrude. I'm sorry if you feel we're intruding.
We're simply here to find out about you.
We just want to know who you are, why you're still here, and if there's anything we can do to help you.
We're actually spending the night here tonight.
Oh, that's good. That's good color.
Do we have your permission to do that?
I think that's a bad idea. Right before he said this.
Is there something evil in this house? Something that we should be afraid of?
There were a couple people that were walking around in here earlier, and they said they felt like somebody was chasing them down the stairs. Who was chasing them, and why?
What
I don't know. It sounded like Diablo.
Why was he chasing them though? What?
I said I just heard something else.
There's a spirit box?
No, out there. It was just like a shuffling movement.
You know what? Like right before you said that, I felt the floor vibrate under me. Yeah. I wasn't. I thought it was maybe one of you moving around or something.
No. So we were upstairs in that one red bedroom, and I have to say it was a little bit unsettling. The responses that we were getting through the spirit box were things like it obviously did not want us there. It's a get out, leave, time to go.
It's not a good idea.
Yeah, when we mentioned staying there overnight, staying here, and having someone in the house, it's not a good idea. We thought at one point we heard Diablo, which of course is Spanish for devil, so that's a little unsettling. But we heard a couple of strange noises too. While we were sitting there was this sort of a thunking noise that came out of her amplifier that she had upstairs, and that was, like she scooted closer to me. Like she was like, we all kind of like, oh shoot.
Yeah, and I think you looked at it at the same time.
Yeah, we all three
happened.
turned and looked at. Because it was an obvious noise, and then there was sort of a noise outside of the bedroom of the hallway too, out in the hallway. So, just overall kind of unsettling.
Yeah, we had I think all of us at the same point said we heard like motion. And I noticed you left where you were sitting with your back against the door.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He shifted around
Yeah, he did.
pretty quick.
I do have to say it is an eerie sensation up there when you're up there, especially with the lights out. When you turn the lights completely out, and you can really hear better. Now, while I was sitting there, I did feel the floorboards under me, and I wasn't sure if it was one of them moving around, but neither of them had moved around and mentioned hearing something out in the hallway. There was also the amplifier. I quickly turned the camera onto it because the cord on the end of it can still pick up vibrations. So if you pick up the cord, tap on the end of it, you hear the tapping. So Kyle had left this touching the floorboards in the idea that if something was walking around, it would be amplified. The vibrations would be picked up and played through the amplifier. And sure enough, it did make a significant sound at one point, like something was moving around.
Yeah.
My idea with going in there was, think about this house being vacant for the past 9 years. As Linda said, the ghosts have probably claimed this house, the spirits that live here. There's been no one here to disturb their daily, I don't want to say daily lives, but their daily slumber, whatever you want to call it. But there's been no one here to disturb that energy.
Yes.
And now there is. So I was telling them, we're going to be here all night. How does that make you feel? Are you okay with that? Do we have your permission to be here all night? Just to see if that would trigger some kind of a response.
I think
And
that's
sure
what we
enough,
got. Yeah.
it seemed to get some interesting responses through the spirit box, which I'm eager to go back over to see if we can confirm our suspicions.
So we're going up to the third floor. We're going to go up to the bedroom where I think all the investigators felt like they felt uneasy in this one bedroom up on the third floor. So we're going to go up there. We have the REM-pod and we have the spirit box. And we're going to run a little session here and see what we can figure out. Yeah, see, I feel like really worn out up here.
Completely
Like I
drained.
just have no energy at all. Yeah, I feel like shit when I get up here.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Okay.
All right.
So we have the REM-pod down here in the middle of the floor, and what this does is it actually puts off a field. And if this field is broken by any movement, it will go off. I'll demonstrate. As my hand comes closer to the antenna, you can see it'll start to light up. And the closer I get, the more it lights up. Okay, just a green light once it breaks the field. So this field, once we get set in this room, it will kind of establish the baseline. So after we're sitting where we are, it'll set that field, and then if there's any movement after that, it will detect it. So it'll be interesting to have this going. The group that came out, 3 of our investigators came in, sat downstairs, and they got a response that they believed said, no attic. So here we are in the attic. If there's anyone here with us, could you come near that little device in the middle of the floor there? It's not going to do anything to hurt you. It'll just simply light up.
That one with the red light.
Because they're all in one pocket. So my luck, I grabbed 3 dead batteries. What was that?
That was the speaker.
The what?
No,
speaker.
did you say something?
No.
Uh-uh.
Something
A woman.
over your way?
Yeah, a woman. Or your stomach. Uh-huh.
That, oh yeah, because it was like a whoo.
They're like,
No, it wasn't me. Now there is a cool breeze coming through here. Let me get that.
Now it's
Let me get that millimeter.
Okay.
You heard that too?
Yeah. For some reason I thought it was him for a second.
That's why I said it was your stomach.
All right, I'm Jeff.
I'm Linda.
I'm Kyle.
We'd like to know whose room this is. Why are there numbers on the doors?
What?
I hear a voice trying to come through.
Yeah. What's that? Is that your millimeter?
No, that's the REM-pod.
Are you touching that device in the middle of the room? You can touch that device again. Are you connected?
You're making it beep like that?
What's your name? We'd like to know what to call you.
Can you touch that?
Each to it.
Knew my thought.
Come closer to it. If you go closer, it'll light up even more.
We have picked up a lot of dust in here when we walked in
Do you have any family?
I don't know, it's like a lot coming through there.
Yeah. What's wrong? You alright? What's happening? Are you alright?
Yeah.
What happened?
I don't know.
Tell us. Did something touch you?
Nope.
What happened?
Something.
Standing right there?
Yeah. Something was. I heard something like something standing right there. Like it sounded like, you know, if someone just like walked up there and stopped.
Yeah.
That's what it sounded like. I didn't hear the footsteps. Like I heard the stand. Like
Yeah, I
you
get
know,
it.
like kind of like how the floor is dirty
Yeah.
and like the kind of the movement under the feet.
Something like shifting
Yeah.
feet or shuffling, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it could have been the kind of sound like that foil thing where the camera's sitting.
Right.
Almost like something like crinkling that.
Wow. Heart. It's a heartbeat faster.
Yeah.
And that was 3 different stations.
That's it. Yeah. What happened in here? What happened in this room? Getting pressure in the middle of my back. Like single ice pressure, where it feels like it's like a finger or two. Right between my shoulder blades.
make the squealing stop, we can ask you questions, and if the answer is yes, then you make it squeal. If the answer is no, then you leave it alone and don't make it squeal, okay? Are you a boy? If you're a boy, make that thing squeal. Very good. Okay, make it stop. Make it stop, and I'll ask you another question.
Ask a confirmation question if she's a girl.
Are you a girl? If you're a girl, make it squeal. If you're not a girl, then make it stay silent.
So you're a boy?
Okay, let's figure out your age. Are you under 5 years old? Are you less than 5 years old? If you are, then make that thing squeal. See, I'm getting an age like maybe 6 or 7.
Yeah, I was thinking 7.
Are you between the ages of 6 and 10? Are you somewhere either 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10?
Yeah, to your left, you're getting a bunch of orbs. I mean, there's 15 things there right now.
Good.
So that was actually a pretty interesting session upstairs. We started out with the spirit box. It sounded like there was a lot of things coming through, some of which we really couldn't understand, but we could tell it was some sort of a voice trying to talk to us. But then there was an EVP session that we started running because we were hearing noises outside the doorway, kind of in the upstairs between all of the rooms. And but it seemed like when we turned off the spirit box to listen, then everything got quiet. So we weren't hearing so many noises, but the REM-pod started making noise as if it was the temperature in the room was raising, and it was making that loud squealing noise with the little red light that comes on. So it was obvious that whatever it was wanted to play with that or wanted to mess with it. So we started asking yes or no questions, and what we were able to determine excuse me, through these yes or no questions is that this is a boy. Indeed, it is, and he is 7 years old. So, but when we asked if something bad or something scary happened in the room, he shut down. It stopped answering us altogether. So, not sure what that's all about, whether it left the room at that point or just didn't want to talk about it.
So we're upstairs in the attic, and it was pretty interesting up there. And I have to say, a couple of times while I was sitting there on the floor, it sounded like there was movement over to my left. And the best way I could describe it is it kind of sounded like a slight rustling noise, almost like feet just slightly shifting on the wood with the little sand that was, because the wood was covered in sand and dirt and drywall that had fallen down from the ceiling. So it almost sounded like a foot shifting around on that drywall. And this happened a couple of times, and then I got a call from Aaron out here on the radio, and he was seeing all kinds of orbs moving around to that side of me. So I'll have to review that and see, because even if it was dust, that would definitely signify that something was moving around over there that was significant enough to stir up dust.
Hey, do you want this, or do you want me to put this in the garbage for the water?
So I have to say that this house was an awesome opportunity to come to a place this old, sat vacant for the past 9 years, and it was really cool because nobody was here the whole night. It wasn't like the typical house where when you have a residential case where people have moved into the house and they're living there and they're sleeping sometimes while you're doing the investigation. The house was vacant the entire night, and I think we did get some interesting results through the REM-pod, as you saw in the video, as well as some interesting results through the spirit box session. Now there may have been a lot more that we missed. We're going to go back, we're going to analyze that audio and put it together and turn it into an evidence review to see what we actually picked up at our night at this very old and possibly very haunted farmhouse here in Matthews.
This was actually a pretty fascinating investigation as far as evidence goes. We got a variety of different things, quite a few direct responses to the questions that we were asking, and it started right from the very beginning when we first started investigating. The first place that we went was Jeff and me and Kyle. We went up to one of the second floor bedrooms, and this was the bedroom that the client had seen what she thought was a dark figure carrying an oil lantern around in there. And we had started asking questions, and some of the responses were very direct. And these first couple of clips are ones that I'm going to play for you from that section of the investigation. Now, the first one that comes up, we were asking about the woman. I felt like at the beginning that there was a woman that had once inhabited this bedroom, that this was sort of her safe place, perhaps where she went to kind of get away from it all. And I was asking who this woman was. Was there a young woman who had stayed here? So you'll hear me ask the question, and then you'll hear a couple of responses. One of which comes through is a female's voice, and it sounds like she says me. And it's quickly followed by a man that comes through that sounds like it says, "Good question." Is there a woman that used to stay in this bedroom? A young woman? So you can hear that very light me, followed by "Good question." Now, I'm not sure why they thought this was such a good question. Perhaps because the spirit of this woman was standing right there and saying me. So quite an interesting clip to be able to get. Now, we also have one. There's actually two of them back to back. I just have them separated out. But whatever was up in that bedroom with us definitely didn't want us there. And it's obvious by these two clips. The first one is just the first response that we got. We were trying to ask normal line of questioning. And the first one says, "Get out." And it says it a couple of times in two different voices. Get out. Get out. So the responses are very clear. Right at the very beginning, it was a "get out," and then followed by another voice, "Get out." So it was obvious they didn't want us there at that point. But to make matters a little more unsettling, we have the next clip that is a third voice that comes through. This was only a matter of maybe 10 or 15 seconds after that last clip. And this one says, "Get out of here."
Why don't you want us here?
So you can hear Jeff inquiring, "Why don't you want us here?" And this one was a little bit quieter, a little bit harder to understand than the previous one, but it definitely says, "Get out of here." So the next one we have comes from when Jeff and I and Kyle were in the attic space. This was the third floor of the house and perhaps the creepiest section of the house. It just had a deeper sort of unsettling feeling than any of the rest of the house. And the whole time we were there, we kind of felt like we were being watched. We felt like something was there with us. And it's obvious from this next clip that there definitely was something there. This comes at a time when Jeff was trying to mess with one of the speakers, some of his equipment. And Kyle and I both heard, right there, heard this sort of noise that came through. And this one is actually an EVP. So you can hear it fairly clear. And I might end up playing it for you twice. It doesn't say anything specific. It's just a woman's voice, like kind of a sort of noise that comes through. So here, I'll play this one for you.
Because they're all in one pocket. So my lock, I grabbed 3 dead batteries. What was that?
That was the speaker.
The what?
No, did you say something?
No. Something
A woman.
over your way? So you can hear Kyle talking about the batteries at the very beginning of the clip, and very soon after she's done, you can hear Jeff fumbling in the background with the equipment, and then you hear this sort of and we both responded to it. Jeff didn't hear it at the time, but Kyle and I definitely both did, and it was nobody that was in that room with us, no living person at least in the room with us. So very rarely do we ever get a good EVP. Normally the EVPs that come through are so quiet and so hard to understand that we really can't even count them as an EVP. But this one is one that I felt like was worthy of inclusion here because it is so audible, it's so clear, and because 2 of the investigators there at the time actually heard it with their own ears. So quite a rare find there. Now the next one is when Jeff is sort of threatening to stay in the house overnight. He's telling the spirits, well, you know, what do you think? We're going to stay in the house all night. What do you think of that idea? And this next sort of voice that comes through after his, it's almost like 3 or 4 different pieces of radio stations that come through. But when you put them together, they form sort of a loose sentence. And what it sounds like it says is something about, you'll go crazy.
Are you okay with us spending the night here?
So it's at the very end there. You hear the different voices coming through. They say, or you'll end up crazy, or you'll end up going crazy. Something to that effect. Certainly interesting considering that the client had told us that the woman had gone crazy and had been locked into the kitchen downstairs. So maybe that was sort of a basic reference to what had happened to her in the house. But nonetheless, kind of fascinating. Again, we are upstairs, and this next clip that plays, we're inquiring about the young boy. It seemed obvious through REM-pod responses and things that there was some sort of a young boy spirit in the house. And during this investigation, we were on the 2nd floor in one of the bedrooms asking about this young boy, inquiring as to who he was, how he got hurt. And this response comes through when I ask, how did the boy get hurt? And you'll hear a voice come through, and it says, on the street.
How did the little boy get hurt? The street.
So as you can see, it was fairly clear. There were no other voices coming through at the time. And on the street is a perfectly reasonable response to that question. Sort of a strange thing. We think of this kind of backcountry road. Perhaps this boy was playing out on the road and he could have been hit by a carriage or even some sort of a motorized vehicle, one of the early models of motorized vehicles back in the time. We just don't know, but kind of an interesting thing. And just a moment later, when we're asking again about the young boy, his voice actually sounds like it comes through this time, and it sounds like he actually gives us a name, and it sounds as if to us like he says, I'm Robert. So you can sort of hear that I'm Robert sort of sing-song, high-pitched voice that comes through. Definitely a young boy's voice. And a direct response to the question, of course. So very fascinating when you get direct responses to any kind of questions that you ask, whether it be they come through a digital voice recorder as an EVP or a spirit box. It's always sort of interesting to be able to see and hear those responses directly. What made this investigation so fascinating was the fact that we got so many of these. This was really just the tip of the iceberg. There were quite a few other responses that came through that I didn't even include here, and ones that the audience may be able to pick out as they're watching the video. So listen closely. You may be able to pick up on things quite easily, because a lot of the responses were very clear, like these were, very direct, and just an overall, just a fascinating investigation. We were thrilled to be able to do this.